Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. So today I'm doing a flawless foundation video. How to achieve that perfect Instagram flawless foundation look where you take your selfies and you go out and it stays on all night and you look perfect and you look like a doll and you look airbrushed. That is what I'm going to be showing you today. This is my flawless foundation look. Underneath this, I have some texture, I have some redness, I have large pores, but we work with primers and foundation and tools to make the skin look as flawless and perfect as possible. So yeah, if you want to see how I do that and the tips that I have for you guys, then please keep watching. So one of the most important steps to a flawless foundation, in my opinion, is the skin prep. You really want to make sure your skin is nice and hydrated. If you have dry skin or if you have super oily skin, that is in control, because all of that will play a major factor into how your foundation will end up looking. So taking care of your skin is actually super important if you want your foundation to end up looking as flawless as possible. So the first thing that you definitely want to do is moisturize. I have somewhat dry skin at the moment, so I use my moisturizer that I really love. It is very hydrating, and I made sure to exfoliate my skin beforehand because it was feeling a little like textury, you know? So you want to do that. If you feel like your skin feels bumpy or like it needs a really good cleaning, you should use something with like an exfoliant in it, like a scrub or maybe a Clarisonic if you own something like that. So that is what I used before applying my makeup on today. And the next most important thing I think for skin prep is a primer. So I have 4 primers here to talk about. This is not sponsored by Smashbox at all, by the way. I'm just showing you their primers because they have like a really big range of different kind of primers. So the one that I love to use is the Photo Finish Hydrating Primer, as I said before, because I have dry skin. So if you have dry skin, I think this one is amazing. It does make your makeup last a little longer in my opinion because it's like a little, not tacky, but I don't know. I feel like when your skin is like moisturized as opposed to super dry, your makeup like sits on the face nicer and lasts longer throughout the day. It might be crazy, but that's just how I feel. So if you're someone with a lot of like discoloration, like dark spots, acne scars, stuff like that, I would definitely recommend using this Smashbox primer. I really love this. This is the color correcting blend. It's like the orange tinted one. And I would use this on something like that. Like that's a little scar I have right now. Right there on my chin. This. Like I have a few, so I would definitely use this on those areas. And then they have this green color correcting primer, which is amazing for those of you with super red skin, irritated skin, rosacea, anything like that. This is amazing. I've used this on my mom because she has a little bit of rosacea and it works really beautifully on her skin, so I highly recommend that. And then for those of you with large pores, I would really recommend something for pore minimizing. So something to put on those areas where you have large pores. I wouldn't recommend putting it all over the face because again, usually these products are silicone based and they do tend to clog your pores. So I like this one though for pore minimizing. I think it does a really good job. This is kind of like heavy duty, so if you have like some big pores or any like scars, like those indents, you could fill it in, like spackle it in with this. I think this primer is amazing. So I like to use this sometimes in these areas where I have large pores. My pores aren't that big of a problem for me, but I do like to use this Milk Makeup one. This is the Blur Stick because it's not silicone based at all. It has no silicone in it whatsoever. And it does fill in your pores quite nicely. Not as good as this one, in my opinion, but it does a pretty good job and blurs out the skin and makes it kind of look flawless and perfect. So I like to just use that on the areas that I need. So if I'm trying to achieve like a super flawless foundation look, let's say I'm going to an event or something like that, I really am going to use multiple primers for different things like hydrating. I'm going to use a color correcting one and I'm going to use one for my pores because I feel like that is what I need for my skin. So the best thing that I could recommend to you is for you to really look at your skin and decide what is it that you would like to perfect, what do you think you need, and go from there on choosing a primer because we all have different skin types and different stuff going on in our skin, so I can't really tell you what primer is going to be perfect for you. That's going to be up to you to decide, but I definitely think that Smashbox has a really good range of primers. Try out the Smashbox primers, like go to the little Smashbox gondola, whatever you want to call it, at Sephora and see if any of them work for you. Get a little sample. You can ask for samples, by the way, at Sephora. You don't need to buy the product. You can just ask them for a little sample, take it home, try it out, see if it works for you, and if it does, great. Buy it. So for my skin right now, I'm going to take the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer in the hydrating one, the blue one, and I'm going to put that all over the skin. Next, I'm going to take this green color correcting primer by Smashbox and just placing it on all of my little red marks on my face and try to correct those before putting on foundation. This will just make your foundation lay on even better and make it look even more flawless. So I just use these 3 primers. Again, guys, this is not an everyday look. This is a flawless foundation routine. So I'm just showing you how to make your foundation look as flawless as possible. I do not use 3 primers every single day. Sometimes I use 2, sometimes I use 1, sometimes I use none if I'm really just like going to the grocery store and want to just put a BB cream on. But this is a flawless look. So I have 3 primers on my face. I have the blur stick in my pore area, the green primer all over the areas where I need some color correcting, and the hydrating primer all over my face because that is what my skin type needs. So next we're going to be choosing what kind of foundation we want to work with today. For a flawless look, I would really recommend something medium to full coverage. Medium coverage that's buildable is more my type of foundation. I don't really like full-on coverage right away. I just feel like that's kind of heavy and not as easy to work with. So honestly, my favorite foundation in the world that I think is so universal and has worked on every single person I've ever put it on, like I'm not even joking, and I've used this on people a lot, is Estee Lauder Double Wear. I just love this foundation so much for a few reasons. One, it is medium coverage but is super buildable, and it's very easy to work with. It's almost like foolproof, like it's not a hard foundation to blend out and make look seamless at all. You can either use a brush or a beauty blender. I prefer a beauty blender, but a flat top brush is definitely something that I would use if I was trying to have like a super full coverage with this foundation. The next thing that I love about this so much is that it stays in place all day long. It literally lasts for like the entire day, like 24 hours in my opinion. I think it's like 12-hour wear or something like that. I really don't know, but I know that it lasts a really, really long time on the skin. Like if you have an event to go to or your wedding day or anything at all, if you just want to go to the club and sweat all night, then you should probably wear this one because it is so amazing. But if that's not your cup of tea, like let's just say you just don't like that foundation, one foundation that I really recommend for great, beautiful, flawless, full coverage that's a little bit harder to work with, the Tarte Amazonian Clay Full Coverage Foundation. The reason why this one is a little bit different is because it's a lot more moussey in texture. As you can see, it's just a very, very thick, moussey type of foundation, as the other one is really like runny and liquidy. That's what I kind of look for in a foundation. And my next favorite foundation, although this is kind of like super lightweight, it is pretty flawless, and this is something that I use every single day, and I really think that for an everyday type of flawless foundation, if you're going for that kind of look, I would definitely recommend the Urban Decay Naked Skin Foundation. I wear this almost every single day when I'm not like going somewhere where I really need like super full coverage. This one is pretty buildable. I would say it builds up to like a medium coverage, but I still think it is absolutely flawless in my opinion. I really love this foundation, so I would definitely recommend checking this out for like an everyday wear. But for today, we are going to be using the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Foundation. So after you choose what type of foundation you would like for your skin type, oily, hydrating, whatever, if you want it to last all day, if you want it to look super dewy, that is all up to you. These are questions that you need to ask yourself, like what are you looking for in a foundation? And once you figure that out, the first thing that you should do is color match yourself. So I like to really bring it down my neck and my chest. That is how I really color match my foundations. This is the shade 1C1 Cool Bone for the Estee Lauder, and I just put it like right there and right here. And I'll just blend it out. Like this is like if I was in Sephora, this is what I would do for myself. That is the foundation right there. You can't really see it. It's a little touch too yellow for me. I've always noticed that. But honestly, this is the closest one that matches in this range to my skin tone. So that is how the foundation looks on my chest. And the reason why I like to match my foundation to my chest is because my chest is the skin tone of like my entire body. My neck can sometimes be a little bit lighter, but I still do try and check and see the comparison between my neck and my chest. And my face is always, always a lot lighter than my body because I do exfoliate every single day. So most people do exfoliate, they wash their face. Your face sheds a lot of skin cells, and it's going to be a little bit lighter than the rest of your body for the most part. Usually, I can't speak on behalf of everybody, but mine is, so that is why I like to match it to my chest. And I go to Sephora and places a lot, and they do like to match it like to my jawline a lot, and I don't like that just because it always ends up being super, super light. So if you're ever going to like a makeup counter and you see that they're doing that, just ask them to please match it to your neck and your chest. So the next super important thing is choosing your tool that you're going to work with. An artist is only as good as the tools that they use, in my opinion. So you're going to want to pick a makeup brush or tool that's going to work for you and do what you need it to do. So the two that I recommend that I love for flawless foundation looks is the Beauty Blender. This is the black one, the Beauty Blender Pro. I do notice a little bit of a difference between this one and like the original one. I think this one packs on foundation a lot better in my opinion, and the other brush that I love to use, no specific brand, I just love these two. This one is the Sigma and this one is the Zoeva. They are just flat top brushes, and the reason why I love flat top brushes is because they are super dense and they really pack on the foundation really, really well. Like you could really build it up with these. But the reason why I prefer the Beauty Blender over everything, and I highly recommend using this, especially if you're a beginner or honestly for anybody, is because this applies your foundation so seamlessly. Yes, it does soak up some product, but it's honestly not as bad as a lot of people say. I think that there is no tool better than the Beauty Blender. I know that there are a lot of dupes out there, but I've honestly never found one that works as well as this ever in my entire life. So I'm going to be applying my foundation all over my face. I just put like one pump's worth. I don't have a pump on this one, unfortunately. And I just dot it like that, just everywhere. Especially on the places where I need the most coverage, I'll make sure to place a little dot on there. So that is what I do, and then I go in with the Beauty Blender, I pick up some more product on the bottom of it, and I just pounce it, stipple it, whatever you want to call it, all over the face. And the reason why I love this so much is because it leaves no marks, no lines that typically a brush might do to you. So you're like pretty much like ensuring that your foundation is going to look super, super flawless. It's just really, really hard to make a mistake with a Beauty Blender. I always like to drag it down my jaw and onto my neck, because no matter how well your foundation matches, you want to make sure you don't have like a harsh line, and for the whole world to know that you have foundation on. I know if you look at my face and the foundation, it doesn't look like it matches that well, but if you look at my neck, I'm more yellow toned like than my face. My face is just like red, like it has like a reddish undertone, and I don't like that. Every time I've ever matched foundations to my actual face, they're always like super pink and light, and they make me look like salmon. So I'm like, oh, I'm a fish. So I finished applying my foundation with my damp Beauty Blender. As you can see, it looks super, super flawless. My pores look really, really small, a lot smaller than usual. My redness was easily covered. I really didn't put that much foundation on at all, and it really does look like skin to me because I did use my damp Beauty Blender, so it kind of made it just look super airbrushed and flawless. And then I applied my Makeup Forever Ultra HD concealer for underneath my eyes to brighten that up, again using a Beauty Blender. Now next, my most important step is to set the foundation, and whether or not you want to use a translucent powder or something with more coverage is up to you. Sometimes I honestly use both, like I'll use translucent underneath my eyes, but something with a little bit of coverage on my face, which I think is what I'm going to be doing today. It also all depends on the finish of the foundation that you're trying to go for. Like if you want a super dewy look, I would just dust a little bit of translucent powder all over the skin, just so you don't disturb the finish of your foundation, because if you do apply something that's full coverage, like a full coverage powder, that's kind of gonna just ruin the whole purpose of wearing a super dewy foundation and make it more mattified or satin looking, and that's not the look that you're going for. But right now I'm kind of going for a satin-ish natural look, nothing too dewy, nothing too matte, so I'm just gonna apply a really small amount. I'm gonna use a light hand with everything that I'm doing right now. So first I'm gonna take the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. This is my favorite setting powder of all time, you guys, no joke. I've tried so many, but this one is just my favorite. I think it applies beautifully, and it really, really does set the makeup. It locks it in place and it lasts all day long. So I'm just going to apply this a little bit underneath my eyes with this Morphe brush. This is the Morphe M510 brush, and I'm just dusting it underneath my eyes. So for all over the face, I'm going to use the Laura Mercier again with a bigger brush. Just going to dip that in and just lightly dust that everywhere. Very, very lightly, using a super light hand. And then, like, let's just say you had some blemishes peeking through. Like this one right here kind of is. This is my scar because I just had to get like a little procedure right there. I had something on my face, I had to remove it. So after all is said and done, you've done your foundation and you really need a little bit of coverage. I would take something like the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Powder. This is a beautiful powder that does have a little bit of coverage. And another like dome-shaped brush, but this one is more small, so for more precise application, I'm going to apply that right on top. And that like essentially made it disappear. So you cannot see it at all. You can place this anywhere you feel like you might need a little extra coverage, or where you get like super shiny and you want your makeup to last longer. My skin is looking a little flat and dull because of the powders that I just put on, and what I like to do after I apply my foundation is set it with a setting spray and then go in with the rest of my makeup and set it again. I know that's a little much, but I love doing that because I like my skin to look like skin. So I'm going to be using the Urban Decay All Nighter Makeup Setting Spray. Because we worked so hard on our foundation, we want it to last all night long. I really recommend this. It does make your makeup look a lot more like skin and last literally throughout the entire night. It's glorious. So I'm just going to spray some of this all over the face. So this is the final result of the foundation. And from here I do like my bronzer, my contouring, my blush, my highlight, and all of that. But I seriously feel like foundation is the most important part of the entire makeup look, because when you have a flawless base, then everything else is simple. I really hope that this video was helpful for you guys. I hope that you learned something today. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.